I worked in a tire shop which had full service capabilities back in, I started there in 1980 and I worked there all the way up till 1999. And I started getting requests for working on some race cars because people knew I had a background in that. And a friend of mine with an RX-7 came into the shop and wanted to know if I could look at his car for him and see what I could find wrong with it, if anything. And I had the car there for a week, went through it, and he called me from the racetrack the following weekend and said that he picked up 2 seconds a lap from whatever I had done on the car. And I explained to him basically it was just common sense and practical approach to the race car technology that I had learned. I was working out of my house initially in 1999, and that started to be too much for the house. My house turned into a shop, and that's not what I wanted. Certainly my neighbors didn't want that. And a good friend of mine who was also racing, father owned this building, and I made a deal with him to come down here. At the time I thought I only needed like 3 bays to work on the cars, and as it turned out, this kept on growing and growing, and now I've got the whole property full of cars, projects to work on, and what have you. I enjoy it more than I'm trying to achieve a certain goal out of this. I didn't intend on being race car exclusive, but that's what it's turned into because not many people work on these things to begin with. And I do enjoy doing it, otherwise I wouldn't do it. I think the RX-7, the thing that surprised me most is the simplicity of the car. Everybody thinks that it was such a intricate design and everything, which it is. I mean, when I look at the inside workings of one of these motors, I think Dr. Felix Wankel had to be one great drug user. Anybody could come up with this design and put it into motion, and the Japanese just took what he started and improved on it. Arizona is probably the best place for the RX-7s in the country, California being right up there too. The southwest desert climate is great for the cars. The cars back east have been subject to some rust problems, and also in California, when the RX-7s came out, there was an extreme amount of RX-7s sold in California versus the rest of the country. So they're still quite available. However, the supplies are starting to get scarce of the first generation RX-7. On the race cars, on the RX-7s, we can do a ground-up restoration from a street car. We can do a ground-up building of a race car. We do body repairs, frame straightening, engine building, transmission, differential. Any aspect or any part of an RX-7 we can modify or prepare or build to suit. I didn't start into this overhauling engines, but I saw as a need was coming to, demand for it was arising. And even myself personally, I was paying somebody else to build my motors, and I thought, you know, this is pretty stupid. I know I can do this, and I just went into the Mazda manuals and went through it and made some interpretations of what I thought would work and what wouldn't, and I've had really good success with it. Built countless amount of motors. And as a matter of fact, I've had one of the local dealers call me because they had a customer that needed a motor, and being he had a 15-year-old car, didn't really want to put $5,000 into this car. And I was a little bit less money than the dealer was, so I don't have the high overhead that the dealer has. And I've got a customer for life now. Well, I don't want to sacrifice on the quality. When I look at a motor, we just took one apart today, 135,000 miles on it. And it was typical motor, totally worn out on the inside. However, this one was worn out more than any one I've ever seen as far as the chrome on the inner housings. When I build a motor, I want it to last as long as a new motor, just right out of the Mazda factory. I don't want it to be a 20,000 one-year wonder. And if someone wants a quality job, I can take shipment on their parts. I can build the motor, I can ship it back to them. I would prefer to have the car here because I'd like doing the install too to ensure that it's done right. But if that's not available, by all means, I can do a shipment on the motor. Well, the arrive and drive is where we bring the car to the track, we maintain the car, he shows up, he puts his driving suit on, and he gets in the car and drives it. At the end of the day, he goes home. We do all the trackside support, we maintain the fueling, and he has no worries. You know, it just, he hops in the car and it's all set up for him, and we move the seat according to where he needs it. And the customers I do rent to, I kind of screen a little bit. For one thing, to go into an SCCA competition event, you have to be a licensed driver. So that's fairly safe for them. And also for people that, I've got one car over here that customer out of San Diego, it's an exclusive car for him. He raced, he had his own car, he had an accident with the car, and living in San Diego, he's paying $300 a month just to store the car, whether he used it or not. So it's more economical for him to come here and rent a car and not have to worry about it. I do all the maintenance on it, do the trackside support, he gets in the car, drives, and at the end of the day, he goes home. Yeah, I've raced myself. I got my license in '96, and I started with my original RX-7. I won 3 spec RX-7 championships with that car. I won 2 times Arizona Region Driver of the Year. I think the adrenaline rush is the best description of why I do it. It's a great feeling. It's also a lot of effort goes into preparing the car, and it's very rewarding to have your work come out in a victory. When I'm at the racetrack, there's a lot of pressure trying to answer all the questions and trying to solve all the problems, you know, putting out fires, basically. When I get into the race car, my concentration level is so high, I'm in my own world. There's nothing else going on except what happens behind that wheel. And to me, that is relaxing. That is, I'm like in my own little realm when I'm driving the car. I get myself in tune with the car. I feel what the car is trying to do, and I drive the car to its ability and to my ability. I guess the best way to put it is I told one guy I was an instructor too for many years, driving instructor. And guys get in there and they react to what the car is doing. And that's not the way to drive. That's the way you drive a car on the street. The way you drive a car in racing is you dictate to the car what's going to happen. And that's the difference between a driver and someone who's just trying to drive. And I will drive a car for everything it has. And if it doesn't have enough, I will make a change in the car so it does. A dual-purpose car is what it was intentionally designed to be. You could drive it on the street, you could drive it to the racetrack. You could put all your tires on there, brake pads on there, go race it, take the stuff off, put it on, drive it home. It's evolved into a class much more than that, where hardly anybody's doing that now, and that's the competition level has improved on it that much. The RX-7 group is probably one of the best and closest knit groups I've ever been associated with. With a dirt track background, this is a whole different group of people. In SCCA type racing or PASA or NASA or any of the sanctioning bodies, it's more of a gentleman type sport, and the people are more professional type people, doctors, lawyers, dentists, and it's a different kind of clientele and different mentality. Everybody respects everybody's equipment and each other. The last race we had was for the Phoenix Children's Hospital. The Spec 7 group itself raised over $10,000 for the hospital. SCCA as a whole raised $20,000. The RX-7 people aren't really a kind of people, it's more of a cult. It's an unusual car, different than anything else ever made, and have great success. Mostly it got a bad rap from the beginning when they did have some problems with it. They got those worked out. But as I said, the fuel crisis took the wind out of the RX-7 or the rotary sales. In 10 years, I could see us being not only an RX-7 shop, but I see us leaning into the Miata market. I see that as a coming replacement for the RX-7. It depends also what Mazda brings out too. Whether they bring the RX-7 back, they've already got the RX-8 going. Right now, the dealers are maintaining most of the warranty work on that. After the warranties are up, I suspect we'll start swinging towards RX-8s as well. They're already putting those into race usage and having great success with them. I suspect the RX-7 will eventually taper off. I don't see it ever going away. It may go away as a group of race cars to be replaced by something else, but the street car RX-7 will never go away. There will always be some around.
Really short. Bring it, Chico. Great. Got it.